Very good afternoon to all the participants of this NEP Orientation and Sensitization Program organized by Inter-University Center for Teacher Education, BHU Varanasi. We have our eminent and very respected expert for the today's session, Professor Manoj Saxena, sir, Head and Dean Education, Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala. Sir will be taking the theme research and development and the sub-theme 3 assessment of the research potential, preparing proposal and quality parameter of research. Sir has a rich experience of 25 years in teaching and educational administration. His area of specialization and interest include ICT in education, teacher education, tribal education, and research methodology. His supervision, under his supervision, there are 08 research scholars. They have completed their doctoral research and are at present, there are 08 research scholars, those who are pursuing their doctoral research under his guidance, and also guiding one postdoctoral fellow. As to his credit 9 book and 100 research papers and articles published in journals of national and international repute, has presented and contributed several 78 papers in various national and international level seminars and conferences in India and abroad. Is recipient of Rotary International Rotary Youth Leadership Award in 1989, has been conferred with Excellent Teacher Award 2021 by Sociological Society Himachal Pradesh. Recently has been conferred with Honorary Fellow by South Asian Institute of Advanced Research and Development, Kolkata, and Best Teacher Award 2022 conferred by New Global Research Foundation, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay Nagar, Chandauli, UP. So thank you so much, sir, for connecting with us and accepting our request to take the session on this particular theme. So thanks a lot once again, sir.
So thank you very much, madam, for introducing me with the learned participants. Professor P.N. Singh, the Director, IUCT, BHU Varanasi. My friend and the Dean Academics, Professor Ashish Srivastav, Dr. Deepthi Gupta, and Madam who has introduced me. It is a privilege to be amongst you to share my views on the topic, as I have been asked that I may share, because you know that the topic which the IUCT administration has asked me to share, that funding for research project proposals. And you know that it is very much important for the teacher educators, or I can say the teachers of higher education institutions in general. Because as a learner of teacher education, I had privilege to be with the many selection committees and many screening committees for various positions in higher education and various state public service commissions. I came across to know that many of us are lagging behind as far as projects are concerned, funded projects are concerned. So, to me, there is some problems or some misconceptions amongst us, the teachers of higher education, that they do not apply for the projects, and some of us apply the projects, they are not able to get the grants from the funding agencies. So I thought that being a reviewer of various funding agencies and being an expert in various funding agencies, I thought that why not I should share some of my experiences with my fellow colleagues in higher education. So I'm trying my level best to discuss with you about how to write the projects for funding agencies. I'm seeing that many of us are having the doctorate degree, even though many of us do not even applied or thought of applying for research projects, because we have a misconception that if we will have some acquaintance in the funding agency, only then we'll get the project. But friends, believe me, this is, that this is a misconception, that one should have the, you know the some of the acquaintances in any of the funding agencies. So what I am today discussing is, first I'll discuss about grants, some of the basics, what grants are, and then I'll discuss about the funding agencies we are having, what are the funding opportunities we are having. Some of the points I'll share for your consideration while writing any of the proposals. Some important questions that should be asked by ourselves. Some points to remember. And very, very small, very common shortcomings I'll share. Then I'll share how the grant application can be written. And finally, I'll talk about why the proposals are accepted or rejected. So this is the plan today I am going to share with you. So the important point, that what are the grants? If I'll talk about what grants are. So friends, we all know that grants are some money awarded to finance particular activities, and that not to be taken back. This is the grant. The funds which are being given to the researcher for particular activity, and this is not to be taken back. But friends, in some of the cases, you have to return the entire amount with interest. Now, what are the various situations where you may be asked to refund entire amount with interest? Let me give you one anecdote of one of the universities. One of my colleague has applied a research proposal. I'm talking about almost a decade ago. He had applied for a research funding with a funding agency, and fortunately, he has been awarded that project. But due to some reasons, he has informed that funding agency that he has initiated the project. But due to some of the reasons, he was not able to initiate the project, or he has not worked on that project. And the project, at that time, he was awarded 10 lakhs, and first grant was what 4 lakhs was given to him. The thing is, he has not initiated, and when the funding agency has asked him to send the progress report after 6 months, he has not bothered about even. He has not taken any cognizance for that. And again, when he has not submitted first progress report, the funding agency, after second, when the second project this progress report was supposed to send, funding agency again wrote to the project director that please submit both of your both reports, progress reports. Again, he has not submitted. So the funding agency has written to the university that since the project director is not responding to our queries, please ask him to submit the reports. Again, he has not taken any cognizance. So finally, funding agency has wrote to the finance officer, because you know that the fund, whatever fund is being uh, sanctioned to you, that will not come to directly to your account. the funds which is sanctioned by the funding agency, it will go to the account of the your organization where you are serving. So then the problem was that funding agency has asked him to refund entire amount, but that entire amount was sent back with interest. Now the thing is, who will bear this interest? Because that researcher has not used a single penny. So he was saying that I'm not supposed to pay any of the interest. But friends, mind it, the funds is sanctioned in your name. The fund is with the finance officer of your university, of your college. Even you have not spent a single penny, even though you have to pay the entire amount with interest, and that interest is to be paid by individual Manoj Saxena, because Manoj Saxena has not used that money. So this is the case when the funding agency may ask you that refund entire amount with interest. This is one problematic situation when you have to pay back the entire amount. Another thing is that you would be uh, you may be, the funding agency uh, may put you in the blacklist, that you are not able to conduct that research. So this is the situation when you have to return the entire amount. Now, this is the case what grants are. So it is important to understand the goals of the funding bodies and their grant program, because you have to write the proposal. We have seen so many proposals. Almost I have come across almost by this time 200 or more proposals what I have gone through. So the decisions which have to be made, it has to be made on the applicant's ability to fit the proposed research activities, and that to the interest of the funding body. Because suppose if you are writing to ICSR and the project is related to sciences, certainly it would not match with the interest of the funding agency. So there is very futile chances that you will get any project from that funding agency, because that funding agency is related to social science researches. So be very specific. You must know what are the the interest of the funding body, what are their goals of the funding bodies. So you must know about that. Accordingly, you have to write the proposal for that particular funding agency. Now the thing, what funding opportunities are available? You know that there are so many agencies in our country to fund the research project proposals. Like UGC is there, AICT is there, CSIR, DST, DBT, DRDO, ICSSR, MGNCRE. These are some of the funding agencies which are available, and normally these agencies invite research proposal for funding through call on their respective websites. Earlier, when this internet, before 2000, if you remember, some of you may remember that before 2000 they normally publish in university news, publish in various newspapers that these are the funding opportunities available, and we may fund, or they may call some of the proposals. So now most of the funding agencies put their call on their respective website. So we should be very vigilant about if we are interested to get fundings from funding agencies for our researches. So we must be very vigilant, and we must uh, to search the website of these funding agencies. Before beginning to prepare a grant proposal, you must consider some of the things, because as a new researcher, many of us are thinking that if I'll have some acquaintance in funding agency, only then I'll get the project. Friends, this is not like that. Why I am saying this? Because I am the part of that process. I have seen so many times all these things, that if you will write a good proposal, you will give proper justifications, there are very bright chances that you will get the proposal. And if you will not write a sound proposal, certainly it would be summarily rejected by the first reviewer only. So, what are the points to consider? That believe that someone wants to give you the money, because you know that funding agencies are also having the pressure to disperse that grant. But I'm sure that nobody will put such kind of funds or sanction such kind of funds to those people who are not able to justify the proposals. So they are having the ample money, they are having ample pressure that this money is to be disbursed for researches. So you must believe that someone wants to give you the money. And then you start with the end in mind. End in mind means what will be the results. Think about those results, and then you just top down approach, you just start to write your proposal. Importantly, you must identify yourself and your strengths. Suppose I'm not good in statistics, and I'm trying to put the advanced statistics in my research proposal. And when I'll go for the interaction, some of expert will ask me why you are putting the man witness you test, and I'm not aware about that, but even I have written in the proposal. So friends, be very sure whatever you are writing in the proposal, because the you know that the reviewers, the experts in the funding agencies, they go through your proposal line by line, and even many a times they try to read between the lines even. So it is better that you should, or one should, identify himself or herself and his or her strengths, and try to create a comprehensive plan, not just a proposal of what you wish to achieve. It must be comprehensive. You have to do some research work, some homework before writing the proposals. What are the research prospective funding bodies? Just focus on some of the funding bodies, and you just try to find out that what are the goals of those funding agencies, and what are the funding sources that has interest in your organization and in your program. I gave you an example that if you are writing for ICSR and if you are writing for, so I was trying to say that try to find out the research prospective funding bodies, and those funding bodies must have the interest in your organization and in your program. Because if they don't have the interest in your organization, certainly, suppose I am from teacher education and I am writing the proposal for work, Baba Atomic Research Center. Whether do you think that they will even go through my proposal? They will see the title, and if they will found it that it is not of their interest, certainly it would find its place in the base basket, bin basket, right? So it is very important that you must know the prospective funding bodies and their interest. Some of the questions you have to ask yourself, try to find out the answers from yourself as well as from the funding agencies. One is, what are the current trends on which you have to write the proposal? Once it was value education, and value education was the hot cake at that time. Everyone is writing on the value education. But now, if you see, what is a hot cake? The people are trying to write, and funding agencies are also trying that what NEP says, National Education Policy, or Indian Knowledge System, or some of the government schemes. what are the impact of government schemes on the society. So these are the current trends. So we must try to find out what are the current trends and what are the current limitations and restrictions. You know that many of the times that we must know what are the what current limitations means. Current limitations means that the funding agency has given you the target that the project is for 1 year. You will be surprised to know I have seen one of the funding agency has asked for 2 years proposal. People are have sent the proposal to funding agency for 4 years. These are we must know the current restrictions, current limitations, current restrictions. The you will be surprised again to know that the maximum limit was 25 lakhs, and people have submitted the proposal for 1 crore. So if we are not knowing the limitations, we are not knowing the restrictions, how we are, if we will write the proposals, certainly it would go to waste basket. You must know, or you must try to find out the answer that what subject areas were awarded funding recently. And importantly, what are the future plans of the funders? This is very much important. If we know about the future plans of the funder, we will write accordingly. And importantly, you must know who are the decision makers and assessors. But friends, when I am talking about we must know who are the decision makers and assessors, that doesn't mean that we'll try to please them. It doesn't mean that we'll try to make influences on them. No, it's not like that. You know, whenever we go for any interview for any selection committee, what we tries to know who may be the expected experts in the field. But don't misunderstood it. Why we try to find out who will be the expert? The purpose is that if a person is maybe from psychology background, will try to read more about psychology. If a person who is from research methodology background, will try to read more about research methodology, because we do not know, we are just speculating who may be. So we will try to know, and who are the decision maker and assessors, and importantly what review process do they follow. Why it is required? Because see, some of the funding agencies do that, they call for proposals and they ask some of the experts that we have 60 proposal or 600 proposals, you just go through it. This is the first review process, and when they will filter out some of the good projects, only those projects will go to the next level of review. And when in that level they find their place that they may be of some of the use, only then they may be invited for interaction. And during interaction, some of the experts will be there, they will ask you the questions about your project, what you are going to do in this project. So one must know about the process do the funding agency follow. Importantly, what are the deadlines for submission? Here again, I'll give you one anecdote. Presently, I am having one research project from ICSR, which is about to submit. One of my colleague, this was 2 years ago, one of my colleague, I had asked him that you also try to submit the proposal. He has tried to write, he wrote very good proposal, but what he did, time is so far, deadline is so far, I'll submit in due course of time. What I did, I have submitted my proposal just before 3 days of the deadline. My proposal was submitted easily, because you know that nowadays funding agencies ask you that you should submit your proposal through their website. There is dedicated portal, you have to register yourself on that portal, and then you have to upload your proposal on that particular website, that particular portal. Simultaneously you have to generate the PDF file of your proposal from the portal after submitting, and you have to take printout and you have to send it to the funding agency again. So what he did, he just wait for the last date. And friends, believe me, he was trying to upload his proposal, because you have to upload certain documents on the your portal. But at that time, whenever he tried to upload the document, it denies to upload, because every time it is just moving, and he could not. Finally, he could not submitted his proposal. Even he has written a very good proposal, but could not submit it within the stipulated time period. Why it is so? Because he tried to reach up to the deadline, and deadline is so far, so I'll submit the project. So because at the last date, at the deadline, that many of the researchers tries to upload their projects, or there is very heavy traffic on the particular website. So website, many times website crashes. So it is better that you must know about the deadline for submission, and you must submit before the deadline. Don't wait for the deadline. That deadline is supposed 31st December. So it is better to submit 2 3 days before the deadline. You must know how long will the process take. It means that the process of submitting the proposal, and the process of the reviewing and interacting, and how much time it will take after the this the proposal is reviewed, interacted, and the sanction. So one must know about the process, how long it will take. It is important that we must seek the answer about how many people apply each year, and what percentage get grants. Why it is important? It is a kind of motivating factor for the particular researcher. If I know that every year 1,000 people or 1,000 researchers apply for that particular funding agency, and 10% means 100 will get the proposal, the funding. So it will be a motivating factor for the researcher that we'll try to write better proposal, and try to seek the guidance for that proposal, so that we may submit a good proposal, so that I may have the bright chances to get the proposal, because I know that only 10% or 12% people will get the funding. And nothing is the answers, from where we'll get the answers. So most answers can be found on the funding agency's website, their research guides, their annual reports, and their future plans. So some of the points, these were some of the questions which are supposed to seek answers by the researcher himself or herself. And now I'll share some of the points to remember. You know that funding bodies look for good researchers, because you know that I'm just giving you a very very simple example, that if we have to hire a painter to paint our home. What we do then? You means that we have to invest some money on that painting. So we tries to hire the person who is good in painting and also economic. So now think of the funding agencies as potential investor in you and in your idea. If we ask, we try to find out a good painter to paint our house, and he must or she must be good in painting or best in painting, and he is also economic, cheaper than the others. So we try to hire such kind of person. And if Same we will think about the funding agency, because you know that funding agency has to invest some of the money in you and in your ideas. So why not they will try to find out the best researcher who is also economic. So what is there that you must have to sell your idea, and they have to give you the funds. Be very enthusiastic about your work, because if we are not enthusiastic, if we are not much hopeful that we'll get, so 50% chances are less that we'll get the funding. Because if I am confident that whatever I am working, whatever I have written, I can defend it, and I can do the better research, only then you will have the bright chances. Because the person's other side of the table are the seniors, and they know how the researcher will work. So be very enthusiastic about your ideas and about your work, and think about the funding agency that they are the potential investors in you and your ideas. And you must think over this issue, that why should they give you the grant, and think it from the funder's point of view, because they have to invest 10 lakh, 15 lakh, 20 lakh, 25 lakhs, or even 3 crores. Some of the funding agencies are having the proposals for called proposal for even 3 crores. So they have to give you such some money for research work. So just think from their point of view, and then write your proposal. Just think that what the funding agency require from the researcher. And friends, I'm going to tell you a very bitter thing. Please don't mind it. I'm also a researcher. That's why I'm saying that remember that we are not begging. We have the idea, funding agency have the money. So because some of the new researchers, when I'll just give you one of my live example, own example. In 2014, one of my senior colleague who asked me, Manojji, you write a proposal for X funding agency and I'll help you. That was my second project. Actually, first project I was handpicked. That was a national study, and I was the research supervisor for Himachal Pradesh ST part. I was handpicked. I was not much experience at that time of research, this research projects. So I did that project very meticulously, and I was very confident that now I can ask for independent projects. So when he inspired me that you must write a project, and I'll help you in getting funding. So friends, I'm not any I'll not uh, any cheese hide with you. I wrote a very good project, and I have shown it to one of my senior that this is the project I have written. So he asked me that reduce your study area, because if you will ask, earlier I asked for 5 districts, and he asked me to confine it one district, because you will get the money, then the funding agency will ask you to entire 5 districts you have to visit, and you have to collect the data from entire 5 districts. So better to come down to one district only. So I did like that, submitted the project, and almost 3 4 years passed. One fine morning, that professor has told me, Manojji, I'm sorry, I have asked there, and one of my acquaintances is a member secretary there. He told me that this time we are not able to give grant to this particular project. So don't be disappointed. You write another agencies, and I will help you there. I was little bit disappointed that the proposal was very good and I have not been awarded with this project. So at that day, the God was with me, and in the afternoon, my clerk has come to me, sir. This is a post from that particular X agency. So I have seen that post envelope and I kept aside because I came to know this morning only that the project has not been awarded to me. Why I'm telling this story to you people? Because there is no requirement of any acquaintances in any of the funding agency. So friends, in the evening around 4 o'clock, when I got little free, I thought that let me see the rejection letter, why they have rejected. I've just tore that envelope, and when I've seen that letter, came to my surprise, it was an award letter for my project. Immediately, I called that gentleman. Are you in our office? Yes, I went there, and you see the height of that person. When I told him that, sir, you are telling that the project will not be awarded to me, but I'm fortunate that I got the award letter. So what he told me at that time, he told me that Manojji, I just when I have seen your face, it was very much appointment on your face. So I called again my friend, and then he might have sent you the award letter. Then I have shown him, sir, this is the award letter which has been dispatched almost 12 days ago. This is the letter. So why I am saying all these things, because I was under impression that that professor will help me. But friends, nobody helps you. What helps you? Your or and your only work will help you. And that was the project. That was the first independent project I got sanctioned. So remember that we are not begging. We have ideas, and the funding agency have money. So be very enthusiastic about your work, and if the proposal is good, and if you have defended your project in the interaction, certainly you would get the funding. You must remember that you and the funder are both the professionals coming together for a specific purpose. What is the purpose? A specific purpose is there that I am a researcher, I want to conduct a research, and the funding agency, they also want that some of the good researchers will conduct the research study for that particular funding agency, so that they can submit it to the finally to the government. Importantly, get help of finance office on matters relating to staff, cost, travel, overhead, etc., etc. Why I'm saying you all these things? Because you know that as we are teachers, we are many of us may not very good in financing. I cannot say that all are on the same boat. Some of the friends are maybe very good in financing, but most of the teachers are not. As my experience, many of the teachers are not good in financing. So there is no harm to take help of the finance office. Seek professional advice on confidentiality, possible restrictions on publications, liabilities, and disputes. Because whenever you are going to write your proposal, you must know about the confidentiality, how to maintain the confidentiality, what are the possible restrictions. I'll tell you that one restriction is there, that whenever you will have to publish, or you will publish any of the papers, any of the monograph, any of the books from that particular project, from that particular funding, so you must have to acknowledge that funding agency that this is the part of that particular research project. So we must know about this. What are the liabilities of a researcher? That must be known. And in case of any dispute, how it can be solved. So some of the things, these are the important points which has to be one should keep in its mind that how to go ahead. So now these are the things that some of the questions you have to ask from yourself, some of the questions which you have to uh, try to seek answers, try to get answers from the outside, and some of the points which you have to keep in your mind. And importantly, we must keep it in our mind that we are not begging, we are just proposing our research. And if this research is good, the proposal is good, the funding agencies certainly, because they know the good researchers. So now if you will be approaching to the proposal, now how to write. So you know that your case will be read by one or two experts in your field. As I told you earlier, that in case of review process, first is the first screening and then second is reviewing. So you have to read, you have to write the proposal in very meticulous manner, and you know that your case will be read by one or two experts in a field. But some of the others in the judgment panel may not be expert of your field. So you must write for their benefit too. And importantly, ask lots of people to help you to improve your proposal. Now I'll tell you here. This is the time you might be knowing about the open educational resources. Whatever you have written, just put it on the web with certain restrictions, with certain licenses. Everything is there. Anyone can use it. So same is the case. If I'll tell you about some of a decade ago, we whenever we write anything, and even also today, whatever we write, we try to hide it with the others. Because if I'll give it to someone that please give me your feedback on this proposal, he we have a fear that he or she might try to get my idea and he or she may write the proposal. Friends, there is no worry about that, those things. You whatever you have you wrote, you just give it to your friends to just go through what you have written and ask their constructive feedback on your proposal. And even I'll suggest you this proposal, you must give it to some of your friends, those who are not in your own field. Why it is so? Because your field, the persons who are in your field, they will have the perspective, different perspective, and the friends who are not from your own field, they may be from another their perspective may be different. So it is always better to give your proposal to lots of people for their feedback. And whenever you write your proposal, try to make sure that first page act as standalone summary of the entire proposal. Some of the questions to be answered are, that is the major criteria, that what are the objectives of the project? Because objectives are very much important. Because you know that whenever we try to see any proposal, try to see any research study, we just first we see what are the objectives. Because if the objectives are related, directly related, or objectives, one more thing, that objectives, whatever objectives we are uh, formulating, those objectives must be achievable. That is much more important. And what will be the outcomes? This is very much important. And you must answer a question, that does the proposal address a well formulated problem? Because many a times what we do, we just try to write a proposal or try to work upon a research problem, that just a routine application of known techniques. Many a times we have been seen the attitude of teacher educators towards use of ICT in classroom, and that is worked in Uttar Pradesh. The same study was conducted in Himachal Pradesh. The same study was conducted in Kerala. Same study was conducted in another place. So be very meticulous while writing the proposal. Be very meticulous that the proposal which you are going to write, that must have some uniqueness, that must have some different point of view. So it is, whether it is an important problem whose solution will have useful effects, because most of the funding agencies ask you to write how it is beneficial for society, how it is beneficial for the policymakers, how it is beneficial for the practitioners. So these things are there. So importantly, is special funding necessary to solve this problem or to solve it quickly enough? So if it is required, if special funding is necessary, one must write that this much of amount is required for this particular uh, funding, this particular research. Importantly, do you have a good idea on which to base your work? And does the proposal explain clearly what work will be done? And is there any evidence that you know about relevant work that others have done? I'll tell you that whenever you will apply for any of the research proposals, research projects with the funding agencies, they ask you that you have to submit your research and your publications, what you have published in last 5 years, and they require the imprints of those publications. Why it is required? Because the funding agency wants to know whether you are comfortable with research, or you do you have any experiences of such kind of researches, or you have a good idea on which you have to base your work. Means try to write such proposals which is related to, directly related to your research area, your interest area. And do you have a good record both of doing good research and of publishing it? Because funding agency wants that how many researches you have supervised, how many publication you have. And because if you will be submitting your previous records, you are having bright chances that you will get the that funding may be given to you. And as I told you, it is much important that what are the implication for policy and practices of your research study. Now I'll talk about some of the shortcomings. When we write our proposals, knowingly or unknowingly, some of the shortcomings remains there in the proposal. That there is no evidence that you will succeed where others have already failed. A new idea is claimed, one, but insufficient technical details are given. Suppose you have given an idea. You know that we whenever we go for any of the X-ray or any of the this CT scan or other things, the practitioners ask us that if you are having wearing a chain, put off this chain, the earrings, put off these things, everything they ask us. So you have floated one idea that one apron must be designed that will hide all these things, and only by that apron only inner body can be scanned, not the things which are upon the over the body. So this idea you are floating, you are given, and you have not given the sufficient technical details for this particular idea. So there is much chances that your proposal may not come to the level of interaction, because during the interaction you can defend all those things, but before interaction there are some certain processes to review your study, to your proposal. So if you are claiming a new idea or floating a new idea, give sufficient technical details. you seems unaware of related researches. This is much important because I'll tell you, if you will apply for funding, they will ask you the related work at the national level and at the international level, and you have to put all those things there. And many times I have seen that people do review, but they submit the review only that uh, at either the national level or at the international level. So it shows that the unawareness of the researcher. And as I told you, the attitude of pupil teachers towards use of ICT in classroom or use of ICT in teaching learning process. So this research has already been done so many times, so many places. So try to write a unique one. The proposal is badly presented or incomprehensible. Many times we try to write the proposal, and friends, please don't mind it. I have seen some of the proposals that are developed through artificial intelligence. And let me share you, in a one funding agency, I was in the process of reviewing as well as interacting. After that, the funding agency authorities told me, sir, whatever uh, proposals you will through, you will ask us to give funds, we'll go for the similarity index check. So this is very much important. And you know that this time, in the digital age, everything is being heard by someone. People think that the mobile is here, but it is also someone is there who is just hearing me what I am doing. You might have seen many a times that you are thinking that I have to buy this watch, and soon after your thinking, you will see that some of the advertisement are coming on your social media platform. How it is so? Why it is so? Because someone is hearing. So be very particular, be very very meticulous that whatever proposal you write, it should be the similarity index free, because at the end you have been given, or your proposal has been made through by the experts. Even then, after that, you will have to check why for similarity index. So friends, it is very much important. So whatever you write, it is presently in nice manner, and it must be comprehensible. One must know whenever a person who will go through the proposal, it is it must be comprehensible. It must be in listed language. And importantly, you seems to be attempting too much for the funding requested or the time scale envisaged. Why I am saying this? I have seen one of the proposals in the last call in a funding agency. You will be surprised to know that the researcher has given submitted a proposal, and the study area was a single college. You will be surprised to know, and he asked us for 40 lakhs. Do you think that the 40 lakhs grant or 40 lakh funding is justifiable for a single college? That was rejected at the first stage only. So whatever funding you require, you have to keep in your mind what is the current restrictions. Funding agency has asked you 25 lakhs maximum limit. You have asked for 40 lakhs. So it is you have to be very careful about this. And timeline, because you know that timeline is always funding agency require the timeline, how you will go ahead and how you will complete in phase manner. So suppose you have given the timeline that I require 1 month for for reviewing, and 15 days for developing the questionnaire, developing and standardizing the questionnaire, or vice versa. you need a review of for reviewing 6 months, and for developing the or constructing the questionnaire or standardizing the questionnaire, 1 month only. So do you think that is it the feasible time scale? To me it is not, because if you need 6 months for reviewing, then when you will develop your questionnaire, when develop your tool, when you will go to the field. So this is very much important. So timeline must be, or time scale must be realistic, and the proposal should not be too expensive for the probable gain. As I told you, that the person, the area of the study was a single college, and he has asked for 40 lakhs. So you know that it is too expensive for the probable gain. So such type of proposals may not be true. It is not clear which research questions are being addressed by the proposal, and the questions being addressed are ill-formed. We know that questioning is also an art as well as a science. So whenever you try to formulate the questions, to write the questions, that must be properly formed. That must be, the questions must be certainly pinpointed. That is much important. And it is not clear why the questions are worth addressing. And the main shortcoming is that the proposal is just a routine application of a known technique, or it is something different. Many of us are having the PhD degree, doctorate degree. We are, many of us are having. So we know the what is the formal structure or the essential contents of writing a grant application. Statement of the problem is there. Summary of the current developments in the field. I am just emphasizing on this point, summary of current development in the field, because every funding agencies wants to know that how much you are aware about the work conducted in our own country as well as at the international level. So you have to write for both, what the work has been conducted at national level and at the international level. Many times happens, what happens, that I'll give you again an example of one of my research scholars. He did his PhD on nomophobia. You might be knowing about this term, nomophobia. This is much related to medical field, but we have tried to work upon in the field of teacher education on nomophobia. So it was very difficult to find out the related studies from the field of teacher education or from the field of education. What we did, we have categorically mentioned that since the term is related, directly related to the field of medical sciences, but we are trying to find out the nomophobia in our teacher educators, our prospective teachers. So we have borrowed the literature from the that particular medical field, what they have done in their that domain. So we borrowed from there, and the experts of that, the evaluator of that research uh, praised that research scholar, that he has done a remarkable work. So friends, it is, you know, that it is clearly mentioned that review of related literature. Related literature is not only the literature that is available in your own field. You can have that particular literature or the other studies conducted in other domains as well. So this is important summary of current development in the field. The next is a statement of what is new about the project. Means significance, why it is important, why you are public doing this research. So it is important. Indication of that extent, of the extent to which the research builds on previous works by you and by the others. So because you know that whatever we are going to work, whatever we going to research, it is certainly based on some some of the founding stones. On that you have to build the whole building. So there must be something that already has been conducted, and now you are going to work upon the other avenues on that particular work. In certain cases, assurance that you are aware of existing work in the field despite no exhaustive literature review being available. As I told you, one of my scholar did his work on nomophobia, and we don't have much literature in our own field. We have borrowed from other fields where this work has already been conducted. Now the thing about methods. What method will be applied to achieve the aims? The methodology must be described in detail and clearly related to the research questions. It is very much important. And I'll tell you one more thing, that be very careful whenever you write your project, when you submit your project. Be very careful, because funding agencies always tell you that this you have to write introduction in 500 words. What we do, we try to write more than 500. Suppose my work came to 700 words. If I'll put all these 700 words into that particular window, it will take. And we'll thinking that I have submitted 700 words and it is very good justification, I have given good introduction. But friends, the last 300 words where you have justified the introduction, when this will go to the experts for reviewing, unfortunately, the reviewers may have access of those only 500 words. So your efforts will go into vain, because you have made the main justification in those 300 words, which only 100 words can be seen by the reviewer. So be very careful. And are the chosen methods sufficiently rigorous to produce the clear answers of the questions? And what is the timeline? I told you earlier that it must be realistic. It must be very, very important. And then you must be very careful about ethical aspects. Make sure your proposal address relevant ethical considerations. Because you might be knowing that in the various universities there is a ethical board is there. You must submit your proposal to that ethical board also and get their clearance that your proposal is ethically sound. It does not giving any harm to any of the sample. That must be very important. And importantly, dissemination is very much important. Very in I used to ask this question in various the PhD vivas, that how you will disseminate your findings up to the last man of the society. And you know that 90% students have told me that we'll publish in journals, we'll publish in Scopus Index journals, we'll publish in the form of book. But friends, that is not the correct way that your findings would reach to the last man of the society. Think over this issue. So as far as the the project proposal is concerned, and dissemination of your findings are concerned, what audience should be targeted to achieve the maximum impact? And again, which I told you, that how might this audience best be reached? And importantly, you must mention what is the budget for this dissemination. I'll tell you, one of my colleague having one small project for 6 months, that some of the Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, impact of Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. So it was categorically mentioned there that there must be some seminar and the local people will be called for. Again, think over this issue. As and when we say about seminar, what comes to our mind? Some of the experts would come to our field, to our institution, and they will see that what are our results. But friends, it is clearly mentioned that a seminar for the local people will be organized so that your findings be communicated to them also. So you must have the clear cut mention the budget, what will be the budget for this dissemination. Then the thing comes, that is personnel. You might be knowing personnel, because you know that without personnels, any of the research study cannot be conducted alone by the researcher himself or herself. Very some of the persons are required, because we all know that research cannot be done by a single person. It is a joint venture. Some of the people will come together, and only then the research can be conducted, be the research personnel, be the sample, whosoever that is. So explain the staffing requirements in detail and ensure that this makes sense. Because how many people you require, because you have to employ those people for the duration of your project, and you have to give the justification for their requirement. So it is essential to provide brief details of relevant qualification and experiences of the staff. So I was talking about staffing. That was staffing is because you must know that how many people you require, and what the funding agency has given you the liberty that this much of people you may employ with your project. Because you must know about the funding agency's restriction on research staff. There is clear cut guidelines that this much of research staff you can hire or you can employ for this particular period. So uh, you have to decide how many research assistant you require, how many research associate you require, how many field investigators you require. You have to have this requirement beforehand, and then uh, you have to provide the uh, relevant qualifications and experience of the staff. Otherwise, what will happen? You have to follow the qualification as ascertained or assigned by the or decided by the funding agency or your own organization. So you have, if you need some different, you try to give in your proposal that we need this type of person and this qualification we require. And importantly, to minimize expenses, the plan should include the phasing out of staff whenever their tasks are completed. Let me share you my example again, live example I'm giving you. Uh, Earlier, I need a research assistant. In my proposal, my research proposal, I required one research assistant, one research associate, and two field investigators, because my study is being conducted in Kinnaur and Lahore Spiti area. Both are tribal districts in Himachal Pradesh. So I need these people. So what I did, I have seen that how much amount is to be given to me for this particular work, and the remuneration is being decided by the funding agency. Clear cut funding agency has given that research assistant will compensate by this amount, research associate this amount, and field investigator this amount. So I categorically mentioned, I have calculated it, and I have tried that this much duration I require research assistant, for this much duration I required this research associate, and the field investigator, two field investigator I have to appoint. So those field investigator, the work of field investigator is to go to the field and collect the data. How much time it require? To the best of my judgment, I hired them for 4 months, one for Kinnaur and another one for Lahore Spiti, so that they may collect the data. So to minimize these expenses, you just phase out the staff whenever their requirement is not there, and whenever you appoint them, you clear cut mention in your advertisement that we need research assistant for 9 months or for 12 months, the research assistant for 18 months, 24 months, whatever you require or whatever your budget permits you. So write all these things there. Then comes to the budget part. The application should include an itemized budget setting out the cost year by year. And importantly, because if you are going to conduct a research study, so you need the staff, you need the stationery, you need the equipments, you need the contingent amount, and of course you need the overhead for your institutions. So you have to give every every part of the budget and justification for everyone. Because if I need research assistant, I have to give the research assistant why I need this research assistant. I have to give the justification for that. If I need one laptop, I must have to give the justification for buying the laptop. I'll just share you again. The last project in 2014. Earlier, I had money, but funding agency has not given me permission to buy. I bought one laptop, and then quickly I thought that I am having the requirement of a printer as well. So after purchasing the laptop with due procedure, it is not like that I'll go to market and I have bought the laptop. What I have to do, I have to follow all those formalities the government has the decided, or you can say as being the central university, centrally funded institution, we have to follow the GFR 17. So according to that, I have purchased that. And then again, I wrote to the funding agency that I need one printer. They have not given me permission because earlier I have not asked that printer for them. Even I had the money, but even then they have not allowed me to buy the this printer. So cost justification must be given, and importantly, the budget should be exhaustive. I'm giving you the emphasis on this point that budget must be exhaustive. Why it is so? People think that if I have been awarded 10 lakh rupees, and if I'll complete this study in 8 lakhs, the funding agency will back up me, and I'm giving back 2 lakh rupees then. But friends, it is not like that. If you are not spending whole money, it means that I am not capable of handling that 10 lakhs, because you have given itemized budget, you have given 10 lakhs. So it will give the impression that you have made some compromises in the quality of your study. So friends, the budget must be exhaustive. That if you are not spending whole budget, it means I am not capable of handling this of money, and it goes certainly against my performance. And whenever I'll that apply for next project, in next project they ask you whether you have already you are having any project, or you have already submitted your project report. Everything is to be mentioned, and there they ask you the money. And if you will write that you have been awarded 10 lakhs and you have spent only 8 lakhs, certainly it would reduce the chances of getting full money for your project. Because if you are capable to handle the budget of 10 lakh into 8 lakhs only, why this time, why not you will be given 7 lakhs only for such kind of a study? So friends, the budget must be exhaustive. If additional funding from other sources is sought, then it should be made clear. Many of time, what happens that if your study is very bigger and you need the more funding, which is not in the purview of a single funding agency, so you may write that this much of amount is being asked with the another funding agency. So I was talking about budget, and then timings. The individual tasks should be sequenced logically and allocated realistic duration. Please be very careful about this duration. Whenever you write the timelines, discuss with your friends, so that you whatever timelines you are giving, that looks like realistic. Detailed reasoning should be given for task sequence and duration. It must be there. Then this is the last one, that you have given the time frame. Then revise your proposal. Don't submit in hasting manner. Don't submit it quickly that I have completed, now I will submit. Don't do like that. Because earlier, if you remember, I told you that be very careful about the deadline of for submission of proposal. So don't be in hasting manner. Try to revise your proposal. Seek regular feedback from readers as soon as possible during the development of proposal, allowing time to receive some responses. Give it to your friends, give it to your some of the friends who are not from your domain, so that they can give you such type of feedback which is related to your field, as well as, because I told you earlier that in the panel it may be possible one or two people from your field and maybe some of other fields also. So try to write your proposal, seek regular feedback, and bear in mind that strong grant proposals take a long time to develop. So plan well ahead to ensure meeting the deadline. Don't be like my that friend who was unable to submit his proposal, even he has written a very good proposal. I wish to give you some of the advice. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. Learn from the feedbacks regarding a rejected proposal. Some of the funding agencies have put their proposals on their websites. So go through those proposals, why the proposal was rejected. And be very confident. Try to be, very enthusiastic. Whatever work you have done, that is the better one. And importantly, when you reach to the step of interaction, because if you have written a good proposal, it will reviewed by one, filter out at the second stage. Second is after second stage, if it is even that person thinks that good one, you will be invited for interaction. And during the interaction, some of the experts will be there. They will ask you to present your proposal, and then they will discuss you about various things which you have mentioned, like sampling technique. They will certainly be asked. Many a time I have seen that people write that we'll use mixed method approach. It is my personal experience. And when ask them which which research design of mixed method approach you will going to uh, apply. Sir, simply first we'll collect some of the quantitative data and qualitative data, then it will be a mixed method approach. Friends, be very very comfortable about whatever you have written. Be very confident whatever you have written. Even people, I told you that people uh, you know uh, who will read your proposal, they may read between the lines many a times, and those will be the questions for you. That's why I'm saying give it to your friends and some of your friends who are not in your domain. And if your English is your not native language, please give it. If you are writing in English language, please give it to some of your friends who is from Department of English, so that they may go through it. They may give you the constructive feedback about the language, because it is not our native language. So better to give it to the friends, so that they will give you the correct advice and incorporate. One more important thing, only then incorporate when you will find that this advice is correct. If this advice appeals to you, only then incorporate, because you have to face the interaction committee with you, and you have to give the justification for whatever you have written. So I believe that whatever I think about this project proposal, I shared with you. And if organizer will permit, I may be open for one or two questions if participant have any
Yes,
query.
yes, sir. Uh, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, thank you so much, sir. It was really a wonderful session and very insightful. I request the participants, if you have any concern and query, any doubt, you can just ask to sir. Anyone? So I think, sir, there is no questions. They understand.
It means either they have not understood anything, or everything is clear to them. I don't know what is the correct one.
So I think everything is clear to them क्योंकि आपने जो सेशन लिया है वो बहुत ही बढ़िया था और तो इसलिए मैं तो ये पॉजिटिव ही पर्सपेक्टिव लेकर चलूंगी और आपका सर हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए बहुत ही बहुत धन्यवाद ज्योति मैम आपका कोई कंसर्न है क्या
नहीं नहीं मैं बस इतना कहना चाहती हूँ वी हैव अंडरस्टूड एंड इट वाज वेरी आपने सारे एग्जांपल्स दिए कि क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स आई और क्या प्रॉब्लम्स फेस करने पड़ते हैं तो ऐसा कोई क्वेश्चन तो नहीं बनता बट वी हैव अंडरस्टूड दैट पॉइंट
थैंक यू वेरी मच
सर हम आपके बहुत बहुत आभारी हैं आप हमारे साथ जुड़े आपका सर बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद
जी बहुत धन्यवाद आप सभी का
जी सर थैंक यू